Hello everybody, this is Disney Dino 75 and today I'm going to show you how I made this Sans plushie from Undertale. I'll get to the clothing in the next video, but here we go. For this plushie you're going to need these patterns I made. You can find these patterns on DeviantArt and they are free to use. Just don't copy what I did, okay? Alright, let's get started. So basically you're going to cut out these patterns like so. Once you're done cutting out the patterns from the paper, you're going to trace each of the patterns onto some fabric. What you'll be needing for the first part, since I'm going to be doing this in as a two-part video, all you'll need are black and white. Once you're done cutting out the patterns for the head, they should look like this. Alright, let's get started sewing the head. To sew the head, you're going to sew both pieces together from here all the way over to here. And before you finish sewing, you're going to turn it inside out, like so. Once you're done sewing the head and turning it inside out, you could stuff it. Once you have the desired shape for the head, you could sew the remaining hole at the bottom closed. Once you're done sewing the head's bottom part together, you'll be finished with the featureless Sans head. Alright, let's move on to the mouth. For the mouth, the first thing you want to do is glue the white part onto the black part with some glue, fabric glue. I'm using Gorilla fabric glue. Just try to be careful with it around your hands, because you could get an allergic reaction. And it's a little flammable. So just be careful for all you youngins out there. Alright, once you glue the teeth onto the mouth, you're going to need to sew the creases on using embroidery thread, like so. Once you're done sewing the crease lines onto the smile, it should look like this. And now what you're going to do is you're going to glue the eyes and the crease lines under the eyes alongside the nose, which I have right over here, onto the head we made previously. We're going to use the same method by using the fabric glue. So, we'll glue it on like so. Once you're done with the head, it should look like this once you've glued everything on. Alright, let's move on to the body. For the body, you're going to need to sew from here all the way to the other side and do the exact same thing. Once you get to this area, turn it inside out. Once you're done sewing and turning it inside out, you're going to stuff it with some more stuffing, and then you're going to sew it closed like such. Once you're done sewing and stuffing the body, it should look like this. Now let's move on to the arms and legs. When you're finished cutting the arms and legs out of the fabric, you're going to need to sew from here all the way around to here on each of them, like so, and then turn them inside out. Once you're finished sewing and turning the arms and legs inside out, you're going to stuff them with the stuffing like so. Once you finish sewing each of the arms and legs shut and stuff them accordingly, take the legs and bend them a little, and then sew this crease shut. I learned this technique from Budget Hobby, by the way. Once you're done sewing the legs crease area, you could sew the head and the feet on using ladder stitch onto the body, like so. Once you're done latching the head and legs on, you're going to sew the arms on to make them movable using a technique I borrowed from Budget Hobby Sans tutorial like so. The link to that video will be in the description. Once you're done sewing the arms like this, they should be movable. Like a karate chop. And a thumbs up, like so. Alright, let's move on to the finer details. Alright, the final thing we're gonna do before we end off part 1 is we're gonna glue some skeletal patterns onto the body. If you want, you can do one on each side, but for the sake of time, I'm going to do only one side. Since, you won't be able to see this once Sans is wearing his jacket, but we will get to that in part 2 of this plush making tutorial. Alright, basically you're going to glue these on like so. And once you're done gluing on the finer details, Sans is done for now. I'll make a part 2 as soon as I get the materials to make Sans' clothes, but that's going to be it for now. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe if you aren't already. Alright, see you in the next part. Bye!